The first thing I did to get ideas for images in the e-poem was to annotate it as a Word document. In order to brainstorm, I highlighted keywords I wanted to emphasize and also used color to break it up into different sections. Then I wrote in different ideas I had for how to portray the poem's meaning. The easiest sources for me to add into this piece were songs or movies I thought of when reading the poem. A Cinderella Story was one of my favorite movies growing up. This scene, where they're both falling in love for the first time, came to mind when I read this part of the poem. Another source I knew I wanted to include was the song Clair de Lune. This is a classical song and one of my favorites, and it makes me feel calm and happy. I wanted to add it to the end of my e-poem because it finishes the video with a relaxed and happy tone, but also helps the viewer feel romantic when looking at the pictures of the different couples. I also used feedback from my classmates and professor to make changes to the video. For example, there are some sources I used in my first video that I changed for my revision in order to get rid of the watermarks with the logo. In my revision, I added a woman in a stop-motion video with a cello passing over her head. I thought this went along well with the line, "Every sound that passes you by." I also changed from having a girl blow a dandelion to a girl blowing a bubble. I liked the idea of showing a child slowly blowing flowers or bubbles because it's light and delicate, similar to a whisper when you're trying to be really quiet. Also, while making my e-poem reflection video, another change I made was adding more text effects to the following scene. After taking a second look at it for this reflection video, I wanted to make the words move in a circle around the middle part as well. I think adding this swirl-like effect helps bring out the meaning of the poem in this line. One thing I noticed about most of the photos I used was that the images were in multiple locations on the internet. When trying to find the original source of the images, I could not determine where the photo originated. I found this interesting because it shows not many people, especially those writing blogs or articles, choose to cite their sources. However, they too may have found it difficult to narrow down the person who took or posted the photo, which leads to multiple copies of the same image on many different websites. There are both pros and cons to this, because in one way, it would be neat to have an image you took populating the web, but on the other hand, people can easily take credit for your work. I think this explains why so many photographers choose to add watermarks to their photos to protect their work, and explains why I came across this problem so often. Although the poem is not in my own writing, I like how it still allows me to express my views of the work through images and sounds. The viewer is able to learn about me through watching this video because they see the movies and songs I'm most familiar with and the images that come to mind when I read this poem. For example, the viewer might notice that I love the beach, I enjoy journaling, and fall is my favorite season. I like being able to express myself even through someone else's work. Overall, I enjoyed finding different sources for this video, which allowed me to share both a personal and creative response to this poem.